guys. Start of week 3 and a really important week for us for a couple of reasons. One, we'll really get our first work in the Coliseum tomorrow and Saturday, and it's going to be neat to be able to see a bunch of young kids that haven't really gotten to work in that type of atmosphere, see how they perform. So we'll have a good full padded practice both tomorrow and then a scrimmage type situation, basically playing another Saturday game, preseason game on Saturday. Today we came out here and really worked our end of game situations. You saw the Hail Mary situation. We practiced both offensive and defensively, and then our plan basically last play of the games from the 35, 25, 10, last 2-point play to try to win the game. So every kid knows what we're doing, what we're running, and what to anticipate. Just a continuation of the situational mastery. You know, as far as Saturday goes, health-wise, we really got fortunate. There was no injuries, and actually got some good news as far as Daniel's getting a little bit closer. I feel like he's about a week away, but after watching him running the past week or so, he's really starting to get a lot closer and feeling good. So I'm hoping by mock game week he'll be ready to go. But we came out pretty injury-free. Watching the tape, again, thought the defense did a heck of a job on Saturday. Offensively, it's never as bad as you thought or never as good as you thought. In this case, there was a bunch of good things that happened in the interior part of the offensive line that I thought that really showed up. Skill-wise, there was some missed assignments, and like I said, I think that comes from a little bit of a big playbook. As we dwindle down this playbook next week, I think it's going to help those young kids a lot. With that, I'll answer any questions that you got.
Watching the film, how do you think the receivers handled the physicality of the secondary?
You know, I thought a few of them really stepped up. I thought Tyler Vaughn's really did a nice job. Joshua Mortabebe made a really nice play in the red zone for us. There were some guys that did a nice job, and there's some guys that need to be put in that situation again. You know, I wish we had about 3 or 4 more of those live scrimmages, but you got to be worried about the health of our bodies. We'll have a really physical day tomorrow, working short yardage and goal line and 4-minute end of game offense and defense. So there'll be some tackling tomorrow, and then obviously we'll have a scrimmage on Saturday. We really need both of those days to see where we're at.
The 3-4 guys who have been rotating in with the first team at receiver aren't the biggest. Is there any concern that how they handle some of the bigger secondaries in the league?
No, because when you look at it, I think our number 1 person again on the group is 3 wides, and when you look at it, I look at a guy like Deontay Burnett, who may not be the biggest guy in the world, but he's so productive. And we do things offensively and schematically to be able to get guys open when we put them in motion, stack them, be able to get hands off of them. But you look out there and there's a bunch of big guys too. I mean, I look at Michael Pittman, who's 6'3 plus, at Tyler Vaughn, who's 6'2 plus. Joseph Lewis is almost 220 pounds right now. I mean, he's a huge person. Randall Grimes is 215. You know, so there's some big bodies out there. For us, I really think it's just repetitions and experience is what we need. I mean, there'll be some growing pains at that position, but you're going to see that group get better and better with each week.
How have you talked about Joseph Lewis can come back from that grind?
Yeah, he's doing a nice job. Made a nice play in the scrimmage the other day that stood out to us. And he's one of the kids that is producing physicality, not only on offense, but he's going to be a kid that we really think can help us in special teams also. He's always had that defensive mentality. I'll never forget I get that one fall evaluation, and I went out and I got to see him, and he not only was he impressive offensively, but I was even more impressed with him defensively. He reminded me of Juju. He was like, oh my God, this guy could play wide out or safety if he wanted to. He's an offensive kid that really has a defensive mentality, which helps.
How close is that position to being, or are you to being able to decide at depth chart?
You know, we'll get through this week and see where we're at. Obviously, you know, 2 weeks out, you know, there'll still be some tinkering, but we're going to start having to work towards Western Michigan. So this is a really important week for us, this Monday through Saturday, to see let kids show us one last time where they're at, and then, you know, we'll identify roles going into next week. Still tinker with the 2 deep if necessary, but we'll have to establish those roles to get ready for Western Michigan. Doesn't mean it will stay the same all the way through the season, but it's just where we're at right now at that point.
From the flip side on that physicality, you're getting the physicality from your secondary.
No question.
How different do they look than a year ago?
You just see the experience across the board. You know, you look at an Iman who's been going into his 3rd year starting, Marvell Tell, you know, 3rd year. year of playing. Chris Hawkins is like a 25-year-old pro out here. You know, he's seen it all, and he gets everybody lined up. Jane A. Harris being that second year in that system in that nickel position, and I'm so glad Jack got the experience that he got last year of helping us not only on teams but in role situations when a DB was down. You can see he's just light years ahead of where he is fundamental and technique from last year. So I just see the experience and the reps showing at that position where we need it at the wideout, exactly on the flip side.
At receiver, since you've been here, you guys have had freshmen who have been able to come in and contribute right away. Do you see any of these younger guys who can do that?
No question. There'll be freshmen and redshirt freshmen in that group that are going to make plays this year. There's no doubt in my mind. And there'll be times that, you know, they'll make mistakes too, and that's part of being young. You know, when Juju showed up here, it wasn't perfect. Dory, there were sometimes I didn't know which way he was going, but they make special plays, and you try to get the ball in their hands, allow them to be who they are, and that's our job as coaches. Their job is to give great effort. Our job is to teach them assignment and fundamentals. So we put a lot of pride in ourselves as coaches to be able to get them ready.
With the running back group and having a couple extra bodies this year, do you want to have specific roles for guys? Have a short yardage guy, or do you just want to kind of mix and match?
You know, there's every down guys, and that's what we try to create at all the positions. And then there's guys that are great in certain situations. You know, obviously, you see some guys with some dynamic hands out of the backfield that could help us on some third down situations or design plays. And there are good short yardage runners, but every one of those kids we try to design as every down backs. You know, Ronald Jones came in here as a pure running back and had to develop as a pass protector and develop as a pass catcher. And has, and has become that. You know, you never want to get it to where they're only doing one thing, or it's really easy from a defensive perspective to look down and say, oh, that guy's in the game, here comes this. You know, so we try to develop them in all phases.
This summer, Sam spent some time down with Jordan Palmer working with tightening his throw motion and shortening that up. I was wondering if you, through 2 weeks of camp, had noticed anything, any changes or any difference, or what?
You know, I think with another year and really being able to see him with live bullets flying in this camp, he looks extremely comfortable. He did last year too. The one thing that we did talk about is remember that your creativity is part of your strength. And in real football, there's so many different arm angles that you have to have. And sometimes you can't step into your throw. And you know, it's just as important to be able to work in all the adverse conditions and be used to that, because that's real ball, than always working pure mechanics. But he looks very comfortable right now in what he's doing, and obviously he's getting better with every throw, and part of it's getting the ball out a little bit quicker.
Is that something that you stress with him, not sort of overhauling or kind of being able to adjust on the fly as he has in the past?
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of times when you try to focus on some mechanical things, footwork things that you want to get better at, but you remember the game is played by not thinking. You know, being able to identify and react and believe in your fundamentals and just habitual muscle memory. So I don't like quarterbacks to overthink things. You know, they've got so much to worry about already. God gave you a specific skill set, and you've honed it in very well in the off season. Now let's go play ball.
Are there any guys that have emerged as leaders after 2 weeks?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think 42 right now, Chinna is kind of captured that defense along with Cam and Porter. That triangle right now, it just jumps out to me. In the backfield, in the back end, I think Chris has been a natural leader in the back end of the defense too. But those kind of three have captured our front: Chinna, Porter, and Cam.
What did you learn about the offensive line as you watch tape?
We are extremely deep. I love our 1 and 2 deep right now, and some people would be envious of the threes. Are they young? Yes, there's not many older guys up there, but at each position you could see guys that I think could start for a lot of people in this league, and it's really neat to finally have that depth. It's going to not only help us in games, but more importantly, it's going to help create great looks for our defense too when we go against them in the season.
Why don't you talk about Levi Jones being somebody that you're kind of thinking about getting ready to play this year? Not that you don't get everybody ready to play, but what have you seen from him after 2 weeks?
Well, one we see is athleticism, and he's picked up the playbook really fast. I mean, he's one of those kids, and Clancy said it, you know, he may make his mistake, but when he tells them, hey, let's correct this, he immediately does it, and you don't see it again. And that's what you want from a player, a kid that, hey, you know what, plays full speed. He may make a mistake or two, you correct him, and then he does it right from then on. And that's what he's shown to us: great athleticism and great football instincts.
Okay.
All righty, guys, thank you.